Greetings everyone, I'm Irteza Rashid and I'm going to talk about the Sunda Pangolin, one of the critically endangered species. Now, why we are going to talk about them? Most trafficked mammal globally, it is identified by IUCN 2019, and due to poaching and habitat loss, it is critically endangered and it has a very important role in ecology. It controls insect populations. And there are some cultural significance used in traditional medicine and ritual. When I was studying this, I was really shocked because it is given to women after childbirth to promote lactation and remove wean. It's a traditional concept in Chinese medicine, but unfortunately, there is no scientific proof of this idea. So I'm afraid about those women who are facing this problem. What kind of problem they are actually facing, I don't know. If any research is there, we will be very glad to know, because this really shocked me because it is really alarming. A species overview and Sunda pangolin, it's Malayan word and it means the action it takes itself to self-defense itself. And there are 3 points I should tell you: that it has a scaly armor and it's very valuable and it protects the animal from the predators. And also there is nocturnal, which means it actually moves at night. When it is dark, there is no human presence, and also it helps them to avoid any other risk. And solitary, which means that it lives alone. And pangolin actually creates an area where he thinks that it is only his area, and for purpose of mating, he will go outside only of that area. Otherwise, he will stay in that same area. It is critically endangered, and the 80% decline is recorded in last 21 years. And habitat destruction and poaching is the main purpose. Here you can see a photo. It was taken in 2017 Indonesia, and the net worth was 1.5 million US dollar. So the distribution, this animal is seen in Southeast Asia. It lives in lowland forest, mangroves, where there is plantation, and it likes to live on plants. And the altitude, it should be 0 to 1700 meter. Very few quantitative studies were conducted on them, and 95% decline is reported in Vietnam. Now it is very rare in camera traps in Malaysia. Let's talk about the ecological role. First of all, it controls insects, ants, and termites. Also, its behavior is arboreal, which means it likes to hang in trees, and one offspring per year. And it is an issue because when you have gestation period for a long time, like 9 months or 10 months, then if you have high mortality rate, you can think that the animal will go extinct in a very short time. And it doesn't have any teeth. It actually have long tongue. And if you can see the picture here, this is how he actually eats. In the ecological role, if the pest is not controlled, then there will be problem for crops to grow and other animals to grow. Also, mosquitoes and other insects can easily grow and spread diseases. And we all know that there is a food web, and there should be a check and balance between insects and other species. Now, if the insects is very high level in an area, then there will be problem for the herbivore. If the insects are very low, then the other animals and the degradation of plant species will be hampered. So there should be a check and balance. Here's an example that in China, they use pesticide to kill insects. Now this is chemical pesticides and they hamper the soil health. So if we have a natural way to control pest, then we should use it. Drivers of decline: illegal trades, scales and meat, and habitat loss due to oil palm expansion and logging. And there are also traps set in the forest. Scale and meat is very luxurious food for many people in China, and scales, they think that there is keratin. Also, keratin is in human nail. So it's a myth that if you eat them or if you use the scale of pangolin, you will be very healthy. You will have spiritual powers. You will not feel any stomach ache or headache. These are myths. And in Wuhan, China, we know the COVID-19. And after that, it was removed from the list of the Chinese government that it's official traditional medicine. But unfortunately, people, due to their beliefs, they're still using them. Now, global trafficking network, the demand is high in China and Vietnam, and the transits are done from Laos and Thailand and Myanmar. Most of the sources are seen in Indonesia and Malaysia. Now, what are the recent challenges we are facing? 200,000 pangolins have illegally traded in the past 2 decades, which I was mentioned to you earlier, that their scale has a high medicinal value in Chinese and Vietnamese traditional medicine. Now, due to climate change, they are also facing some issues like rising temperature, flood, and other climatic events are actually creating impact on the insects. And the problem is that when flood, they cannot mate and they do not find any shelter. Now, community-led conservation efforts are taken, but unfortunately, it is not effective because when you are engaging local people, you need to tell them why it is important, how can the economical problems be solved, how can the social problems be solved, and how can we give them a sustainable livelihood so that they take some anti-poaching measures and they participatory approach for habitat restoration. Now, there are some laws to protect them in Malaysia, in Singapore, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Thailand. There are these acts to protect them so that they can no longer be extinct. But unfortunately, in one study I was reading that 200 to 250 pangolins are alive. There are 8 types of species of pangolin. Approximately, not all of them are available right now. They are going extinct. Now, the question comes then, how can we help? Yes, from individual point of view, we can support conservation organization and build awareness. And also we can take some policy actions to promote stronger wildlife protection laws and encourage sustainable development and economic development so that people do not get engaged in trafficking them. In our country, a word that is nature-based solution or ecosystem restoration is very common nowadays. So I thought that this might help to actually increase the population of this species. So habitat restoration can be done. We can reforest, we can protect mangrove forest and rebuild their home again. And community guardianship also helps. So anti-poaching patrol, sustainable livelihoods, and ecotourism training can also help. And climate resilience, we should actually stabilize the ecosystem and make sure they have the sources of food. And for policy, there is a method, the DNA tracking and monitoring, camera traps, and combating trafficking. Also, we can do advocacy for nature-based solutions. If you want to read more or want to know about them, I use these resources. Also, you can visit them and know more details about them. And with that, I am at the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for listening to me.